Good morning, students. Today we begin a very important lesson, the main features of democracy. Of course, in the previous lesson we studied about how there are some countries in the world who struggled for democracy, and still there are many countries in our world who are struggling for democracy. Now here we are going to study about what are different important elements, main features means important elements that make up a democracy. So based on these elements we can call something as democracy, right? Okay, so before we enter into the lesson, first of all, I hope in the previous lesson also I told you what we mean by democracy. So democracy is full and full to do with the people. Okay, it is by the people, for the people, and of the people, right? Example of democracy we studied in the last lesson. Take your class for example. Now the teacher wants to appoint someone as a class leader. Now if teacher really wants to just proceed in a democratic way, then she or he has to ask for the opinions of the students in the class. Okay, now how he or she can ask? By voting. Okay, so by voting she will be able to pick up someone whom the class really wants to be their leader. So that is the way democracy functions. Okay, that we call as democratic process, right? Okay, it is the same way that we do in our country in a larger scale by election and so on. Okay, right, so that's how democracy functions, and it is we elect our own representative so that he can bring some kind of order, some kind of rhythm into our society, into our country. Okay, right. We learned about the evolution of democracy in Europe and it spread across the world in the history chapters. In the last unit, under the history chapter, we studied about how different countries they slowly struggle to have a democratic governments. We began with England. How in England we had the monarchy, and then from monarchy we slowly pass on to the parliamentary system, and then that parliamentary system gives rise to democracy. And then we also studied about what really happened in France through French Revolution, how French society struggled to establish democracy in their country as against the autocratic ruler, the monarch, the king. And then how the struggle in France, the struggle for freedom, the struggle for democracy in France became a source of inspiration for other countries also to establish monarchy in their own countries. Just example, we saw how America fought for their independence from British rule and how they established democracy in their country. Right, so that's how democracy, the democratic ideas, spread far and wide, and we have something to talk about, that it is we who rule ourselves. It is we who give meaning to our country. It is we who give meaning to our culture. Okay, so that's how it goes on. Okay, now before we move on to what are the salient features of democracy, you just look at these maps you find here on page number 194 and 195. So here you see here the democratic countries between 1900 and 1950, right? So what you find here with the red shaded countries, they are all the countries who were democratic countries even before 1900s. Okay, but what you see here, these countries that are with the yellow color shade, they are the countries who became democracy after 1900 1950. And again, you can look at the map, the following page, page number 195. So the democratic countries between 1950 and 1975, you see here all these are democratic countries, but still there are some countries who are not yet democratic in their process. Okay, they are still in their process. Now here again 1975 to 2000 almost half of the world, two-thirds of the world are democratic countries. Okay, except some countries uh, in Africa, uh, uh, and then even here, um, China, Mongolia. Okay, so all these countries are not still democratic. Okay, right. Okay, so based on this, still we consider that democracy is an ongoing process in many of the countries. Still, Myanmar is struggling for democracy. Still, Libya is trying to settle with what they have. Okay, right. So in the previous lessons, we studied about the struggle for democracy. Okay, so there are here we are given three important points what we have studied. Just for a recap, just for revising, the first one is the establishment of monarchy and Colonel Gaddafi's rule after Libya gained independence. Now, I don't want to repeat the story again. Okay, I hope you have listened to the previous videos and then studied about what really happened in Libya. Okay, the military ruler Gaddafi really wanted to overthrow the throne, the monarch, the king, and he did. But he did at the expense of him being a dictator. He became a dictator. Okay, then again we have the establishment of military rule in Myanmar after the death of Aung San. Okay, now what really happened? It is the military who is controlling the whole country, Myanmar, and slowly they began their election process in the year 2000. Okay, still military has control over the democratic system. How they are still struggling for democracy. Okay, the struggle for democracy in Libya and Myanmar is a story that we have already studied in the previous lessons. Okay, so that should be you should not forget about it. Okay, so those two lessons are kind of examples that will tell you about what all things we consider as important elements for democracy and what are things we consider as not so important elements for democracy. Okay, right. The first important features of democracy is an accountable government. What's accountable? Accountable means to be transparent. Transparent. Now you take a mirror for example. Now there are two kinds of mirror. There is one mirror which is coated. Okay, so which is coated from behind, and therefore you if you go in front of the mirror, you'll just see your own reflection being reflected on the mirror because one side is coated, it's not transparent. Whereas there is another type of mirror which is not coated, uncoated. Okay, now if you are going to stand in front of the mirror, you won't see yourself, you will see what is beyond the mirror, the other side of the mirror. And we have specs. Okay, so in specs are not coated. That's the reason why all those who wear specs, they are able to see clearly. Okay, that we call as transparency. You are able to see clearly what is happening, the other end. So this mirror, we could say, kind of a government. So this mirror could be a government uncoated mirror, so that all the people are really able to see what is happening beyond the uncoated mirror in the government. That we call as accountable. Okay, why we say the government should be accountable, the government should be transparent? It is because the government is not a monarchical government, it is a democratic government. It is elected by the people. It is people who elect the government, and therefore the government has got every right to say what they are doing. They have to be transparent enough. Okay, so that's how an accountable government functions, because it is elected by the people, it is elected for the people, and it is elected from the people, of the people. Okay, so since this government is nothing but a representative of the people, and therefore they are bound to be transparent enough in their decision making. They cannot simply make decision on their own and then impose it on people. They cannot make any kind of laws and then impose it on people. Okay, we saw that the ultimate decision making power in Libya lay with the military ruler. That is why we called him as dictator. That's why we call that process as not democratic, but rather it is a dictatorship. Okay, so why he was doing it, why he was imposing things on people? Because he was not elected by the people. He is not a representative of people. Rather, he just became a leader on his own, with his own might, with his own military strength, with his own military power. Okay, so he was not chosen by the people. The people were compelled to abide by orders of the military junta, no military ruler. Rather, in a democratic country, the representatives means people who go, those leaders who are emerging from the people, they are the representatives. The representatives chosen by the people and the legislative assembly are the supreme. So here, what is supreme? It is not the prime minister. Okay, he is someone who is a communion of all the ministers, and he represents the government, and he is accountable to the people. So he is not a supreme leader. Prime minister in a democratic country cannot be a supreme leader. Same way, a president in a democratic country cannot be a supreme leader. What is a supreme authority in a democratic country is the parliament or the legislative assembly. Okay, it is both the government and the opposition. These two are like two sides of one coin. If one side is destroyed, the coin becomes invaluable. It is not valid. Okay, so that's how the democracy functions, both government and the opposition. The opposition indirectly helps the government to pass certain laws in favor of the people. Okay, there are various ways in which elected governments are accountable to the people. A look at the government system in India will show us that the central and state governments are accountable to the people and their representatives in many ways. In India, all members of the executive, like Prime Minister, Chief Minister, I told you, the Council of Ministers, senior officials, and the cabinet ministers, everybody, all are accountable to the Parliament. They cannot simply make changes on their own. Okay, everything that they want to do, everything that they want to change, it has to be brought into the Parliament, and then it is enacted. That is a function of accountability. Okay, so that's how a democratic government functions. Okay, right, in the next part I will explain to you about the importance of election. Okay, election after fixed intervals. Okay, thank you.